Wait, but you're not gonna know if you're visible.
No, I just saw. Oh, that's what I was doing.
You weren't in the car though.
But I could see the headrest I'm gonna
that's
be in
true.
front of. Can we have these on?
They are on.
Welcome to Rebels Reacts. My name is Jordan,
And I'm Ethan.
and we just watched Gemini Man in a very special way.
Yes. 120 frames per second, 2K, 3D.
3D. Only 14 theaters in the country have the capability of showing it
As close.
almost the way Ang Lee wanted it to be seen. What did you think?
So, having only seen 48 FPS for those 3 minutes that we saw The Hobbit and not liking that.
That we walked out of.
Very curious. I thought the frame rate was really cool. I thought the way it looked I was good with it.
It looked so much better than I thought it was going to, especially I want to know what it was that we saw when we saw The Hobbit. Like, I want to see that again to know what we hated so much, because this didn't bother me.
No, it was different. That was 48 frames per second. It just, something was weird about it, and it wasn't 3D. This, because basically the way I interpreted it was like, oh wow, we're getting closer to how we see the world, because we see it in infinite frames per second with ultimate resolution, and that's pretty close. Not there yet, but
it was so clear.
yeah, I know that aspect of it was really good.
Definitely weird. It didn't feel like what a movie usually feels like, what you're used to seeing in a movie, but I got used to it very quickly.
What I'd read was he thinks this will be the future, and I was like, I could see that.
That's what I was thinking by the end of this movie. This is the future of movies.
And yeah,
I feel that way about this movie. So the movie itself was good.
okay.
A bit weird. But do you want to know what I
want to know what you think.
Do you want to know what I think this movie feels? This is what the movie felt like to me.
Okay.
This felt like, just stick with me on this, like early VR, right? When they don't have it all totally figured out yet, but they come out with like the best possible demo to show off what VR can do. Even though there may not be like a good story in the game, or like things don't make sense, but they give you something that can really show off what everything can do.
Okay.
I feel like that's what this movie was. Weird story, like it almost felt like he wanted to make a movie with these capabilities and just kind of like threw together a story to make it possible. The story itself, meh. The action scenes were outstanding.
Okay, in what way?
Nothing looked fake in this movie to me.
So there were 2 scenes, I guess 3, that were off to me.
We won't spoil this, since the movie came out literally tonight. We won't spoil it until the very end. Like,
so there was where the speed was off. It was moving too fast, and to where it looked unnatural. And I thought that was
there were
bizarre.
Only like seconds that I felt looked a bit off. Otherwise, like him on the dirt bike, all the dirt bike stuff felt
the end of that
legitimate to me.
Scene was
until it was very close quarters.
Bad.
Really?
It was bad when it most of that scene was good, but the end where they were, when it was noticeably bad in my opinion.
Oh man, I thought it was great.
Like the speed was not natural. That's
so weird.
Really, really sped up, and it was, so I noticed it there, and then there was two other spots. For the most part, that it didn't feel like that at all, but it was, oh god, I forgot the other 2 ones. I guess I don't know if that's a technical limitation or an artistic choice, and I'm curious what it would look like in the regular version. But yeah, and there was one when they clashed initially underground. It seemed weirdly fast, like superhuman fast, and they're not superhuman.
Right.
And so that was noticeable.
Okay, yeah, I guess. But given the fact that Will Smith was literally fighting a rendered version of himself.
Well, and that was the thing.
I thought it looked amazingly real. A lot of it to me. I personally thought this movie looked incredible.
For the most part, it looked really good.
I was blown away.
I would say not until that last scene.
I even loved that. I really did. There was nothing technically or action-wise that I disliked about this movie.
Okay.
So I'm so intrigued that you felt differently.
No. In terms of all that stuff, it was great for the most part. But it was those three where I was like, oh, that's not how fast that was supposed to be.
But
moving.
again, like, this is something completely new. So like, I guess I just gave it a little. Yeah, I think.
Well, I was thinking Grand Moff Tarkin, Leia.
Well, okay.
Is it that, or is it just CG? Was he completely CG?
I think so, except for maybe
based
like
on the
when they're
last scene.
Yeah.
I think yes now.
Yes.
And
that was the worst.
It was that.
But it wasn't that bad. Leia looked worse.
I think Leia looked better.
Her face did not look good.
Because
all she said was one word, and it didn't look that good.
Well, no. It's more like the technicals. So you have, when you have in clear day 2 humans and a non-human, it was very noticeable to me at the end.
Sure. Yeah, it didn't look perfect. But there were times when it looked perfect.
No, but for most of the movie,
But that's because it was dark.
Dark.
Yes.
Which is fine.
That's fine.
It'll get better over time.
Yeah.
But
this gave me so much hope for this. Like, by the end of the movie, I'm like, actors will never be gone forever anymore after this, if they choose not to be.
So I'm torn about that whole concept.
I don't know if it might be a creepy thing. Like, I think it is like kind of a weird thing, but it's possible to really preserve.
I felt like that
everyone.
when we saw Tarkin. That to me, I'll never forget that moment, to where it was like they brought this man back from the dead. It was like obviously still a work in progress.
Yeah.
But just you look at 1977 Star Wars and then that, and you imagine 30 years from now, then yeah, they're going to be doing that.
Right.
And I'm torn about how I feel about that, because then you recycle, and then you get one good actor and you don't need any more. That's the exaggeration of it, but I'm torn. It was cool. So
I don't know how this movie is gonna feel to people who don't see it like that. I think this might not be a good movie if you don't get the experience of what this was. This was the most immersive movie I've ever seen. We also saw it in Dolby, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't know it was going to be in the Dolby theater, so it was loud. There was surround sound. The seats were shaking with like all the gunfire and everything.
Was cool.
Like, it was. I felt this movie. It was like the most like 4D movie I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it was really cool. So if you're just sitting in a regular theater, not 120 frames per second, not 3D, and just watching the story of this movie and not getting like the full effect, I feel like a lot of people are not gonna like it.
I don't know at what point in the movie, but I was very not into it by a certain point.
It's not good.
It's bad. Like, and I didn't realize it at first.
The dialogue is really clunky at times.
So when I first saw the trailer for this and the way they cut the trailer, I was like, this is Will Smith's next great movie.
Oh, it looked awesome.
And now this is more like a Hancock after watching
I mean, they didn't show any other characters in the trailer.
It was
pretty much besides him and him.
If we're just talking story, it was kind of hollow.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, like, and that's what I'm saying. I think this movie is just a vessel for him to show off this technology.
Which is interesting.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the case, though.
I'm just saying that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Like, there's not enough there to say that he's hanging his hat on this story. I think he's hanging his hat on the technical feat that he pulled off. You know what I mean?
Except only 14 theaters are going to have it.
I know.
So that's where I'm torn about that. I do think because he did say he wanted to try that. I just wonder what came first.
The story or the idea for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious, but I'm disappointed. unfortunately, like, I was excited to see a good Will Smith movie, and I come out of that disappointed.
See, I was excited to see a good Will Smith movie, and I'm
Yeah.
excited that I saw
So
a crazy technical thing. Like it crossed over at one point for me.
So you said it was the most immersive movie you've ever seen. Another title holds that for me, and that's Avatar. When I saw Avatar in 3D, when they did that re-release, I've never been so sucked into a movie. Now, that's been almost 10 years, which is insane.
I guess not so much sucked in. I just meant all the senses being triggered for me, like the seat shaking, the sound all the way around us, like the Dolby Theater really kicked it up a notch for
I
me.
really like that about Dolby. That's a really good innovation.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like Avatar in 3D was obviously like...
Because the 3D was very... At least when it started, it less so over the course of the movie, but it was very much like, oh, there, and then there, and then there, and then there. Yeah. Did you notice that at the beginning?
I thought it was subtle.
Over the course of the movie, I think it got better, and I think that was just the adjustment period. But no, like the crispness, the clearness, that like I would like to see it in 4K.
The underwater shots.
Yeah, the water shots are incredible.
My God.
Even just when he's in the boat with the ocean, it looks gorgeous. I want to see another movie in this style now.
I do too. I do not want every movie to be 120 frames per second.
No, there's appropriate. There's going to be an appropriate way to do it. Yeah.
But, I don't know.
No, the action looked good. It was a little much at times, I would say. Which, so if we're separating the two, that's why it's hard, because they kind of are intertwined. No, he looked great for most of that movie.
Yeah.
That's why
when it counted.
I didn't know what they were going with.
Right.
If he was doing both with the editing over it, like they did with Star Wars.
Right.
Or if he was a pure CG character.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I would say at the end, definitely 100% pure.
Yeah, definitely when there's like physical like altercations, I feel like it has to be maybe like a person that they rendered around or something, but I hesitate to recommend this movie to people who don't have the means to see it like this.
Yeah, that's tough.
Because I don't want you to be...
So like my grandma wanted to see this movie, and I would probably be like,
I don't think she'd be into it.
We don't need to
No, there's really not much there. Hollow is a perfect way to say it.
Which I was fighting with the whole time, because I was just like,
Will Smith was great as always. He made me feel just comfortable.
He was Will Smith.
Yeah.
It was like Deadshot in Suicide Squad.
Right.
But it didn't really help necessarily. When it started out, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is promising.
Yeah.
And then little by little, I was like, oh, wait, I think this is really cheesy. And
very cheesy. There were things, there were interactions between people that were not natural. Like, I was just like, no one would say that or do that.
The scene in a familiar location that I've been to.
Have I been there?
I don't know if you went.
Okay, but in
this specific place. Do they say where they go in the trailer?
It's on the poster.
Oh, okay. So when they're in Budapest at the Baths, and he talks to the guy, I was like, is this like a B-rate cheesy?
Oh, what was with that guy?
That was one of the worst.
He was the weirdest person I've ever seen in a movie.
That was one of the cheesiest, most cliche weird scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy.
First time caller, long time listener. Like, what?
It was that, and then that was funny. Oh my goodness. But aside, it was definitely like, if this was like, I wonder if this is gonna work, I would definitely not say don't make a movie like this. Whereas our 3-minute experience of the other one was, I never want to see this ever again.
Yes, this gives me hope.
I'm definitely like now intrigued, and like I think one of his objectives was to push this and then get them to start adopting this technology.
Yeah.
I'm worried because this wasn't the movie to do it with necessarily. Because I'm really curious what kind of like reviews and stuff it's going to get.
Yeah.
Because people aren't going to review it based on this.
I get what you're saying. I see it two ways. Like,
can this kill it?
It could, but also I'm fine. Like, I'm almost happy it was this because it's just an experiment. Like, I don't want you to waste this on a movie that could have been good otherwise. Like, don't ruin a movie that would have been good on its own by like adding this other technology on top of it and like putting people off.
Yeah.
This movie isn't that great just as a movie. So yeah, throw some other stuff in there to like give it a twist and make it interesting. Like, I'm happy that it's this movie, but I see it both ways.
Yeah, because my concern would be you want to do it on a movie people like, because then they'll be like, oh.
To give it traction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, because I would say with Avatar, just because when I think of 3D, I think of Avatar. I guess this will be the 120 frames per second association.
Yep.
And that showed what you can do, how you can, because it was 100% filmed in 3D with all that technology, and it was like, oh, when everything is in sync, because that whole movie was CG, so the 3D was able to work well.
Right.
The thing is nobody has done that since. So as convincing and compelling as that was, nobody's been able to pull that off.
Right.
We'll see with Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5, and whatever James Cameron has been up to.
Yeah.
Maybe he did high frame rate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he used IMAX 3D cameras or whatever. I'm not 100% sure. But
Avatar 2 has to be the next movie that's like fully shot in IMAX, I would think.
Yeah, that would make sense. So it's like I want to see some more movies at 120 frames per second and see how is that best used. Is it just for action sequences to make them more realistic? Because I enjoyed just them being, because it looked there was one more panning shot, like with a drone, that just seemed like way too fast. Whereas normally, like, you think of like the opening to The Shining, where it's like that, which was one of the first freaking panning things ever. I forgot, but you get like slow pans of like cities and views and stuff. And there was a couple shots that seemed really fast. That was just like, is that because the 120 frames, or did you just make that shot?
The higher frame rate will make it seem
even faster.
Yes.
See that, and that's what I'm curious about, like with those couple scenes where I was like, oh, that felt weirdly sped up.
Yeah.
I wonder what that looks like in regular.
I almost want to see
that, so I was thinking about that. Maybe we need to do that, to do a comparison video.
Yeah.
To do that contrast, because then what this did differently will be more clear.
Yeah. I don't dislike this movie quite enough to say I don't want to see it again. Just for that fact.
I'm open to it for that reason,
but
I don't really want to sit through that again. Because
we can sit through part of it. Because
we can go for free.
Right.
It might be worth to just analyze and pick an empty movie and do something else during most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad we did this.
I am too.
And got that.
That was really a really cool experience.
Yeah. My eyes are definitely tired.
Yeah.
You do get a little fatigued, I think.
Yeah.
That's the 3D though.
Yeah.
And so can they do 4K 120 frames per second without 3D, or do you need the 3D, because we see in 3D super high frame rate to make it not seem weird? And maybe that's why The Hobbit was weird, because it was a high frame rate without the three-dimensional to make it feel like realistic, which would make sense.
Yeah, it seemed even more fake.
It was like, wait, because like we don't have any issues with movies in 24 frames per second. It looks real, even though it's clearly not.
Right.
It looks like a movie. And yeah, I'm very interested to see where this is going to go.
I am too. I must say, it made me so happy seeing Budapest, which is somewhere I just was 2 months ago.
I wasn't expecting to see one of the few memories that I have. Not only that, literally the fountain that I still remember. I still remember standing there with the water falling on my head, and I was like, that was the exact spot.
That's so cool.
Because we didn't get to go all out. That was our tourist spot in Budapest.
Yeah.
And they had a major scene there.
It's so cool to me that like I knew almost all the places that they were, and I know where they were into relation to the other places. I know they had to cross the river for that and come back for that. Like, I love having that in my head, and I want that for more cities.
I'm happy they did it on location. This is why I travel.
Yeah.
My goal is to have as much of the planet like that.
I love that.
That's why I like to go hiking too.
Yeah.
And go and you get that visual
layout.
Yeah. It's awesome.
One last thing, quick. Spoilers now. Spoilers.
Yeah.
I was not expecting Will Smith and Will Smith to fight Will Smith. I mean, when I saw the
It's
third,
dark now.
it's fine.
Dark spoilers.
When I saw the third character come in, I'm like, oh, that's Will Smith.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready for that.
I didn't think they were
coming
gonna do
into
another
this
one.
movie.
And yeah, I thought it was just gonna be the two of them. No, the second that guy showed up and he did that, I'm like, another one?
Yeah.
Are you freaking kidding me?
But was he even younger?
I think so.
A little bit younger than Junior, right?
A little bit younger.
Yeah.
And honestly, when he showed up, no, I was done. Because we're in full spoiler trip with the rocket. I was like, off. I was done at that point.
Yeah, that was pretty annoying.
I was just like, he's dead too. I'm just done with this. This is so stupid. And oh my god. And then it was the combination of that, then the guy with the minigun with the crazy mask, and he was just like,
oh, the turret?
The turret guy.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is
That was such a cool scene, though. The slow-mo with all the stuff exploding and then crawling around, like, that was so freaking cool.
All I was thinking was, like, and this is what I struggle with. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks great, but this is stupid. I really, like, that, I struggle with that. Because I agree. I was like, yeah, look at how the bullets are going and the bottles are getting shot. That looks great. And then the slow-mo.
Which is why I feel like this movie was just him flexing his technical capabilities. That's really what I feel like he wanted from this movie. And he got Will Smith to help make a movie out of it. I don't know. I like it.
I am all about story, and when it's not there, I am checked out. I struggle to I can objectively acknowledge that, and I was doing that.
Yeah.
But I can't enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, ugh. But if it was like, oh my god, whoa, and I was more focused on the story, and then those visuals are impacting.
Yeah.
I think it hits more.
Because all of the action scenes, I was freaking out, and even though my peripheral was blocked from the glasses, I could tell you weren't, and I was like, damn, what's going on right now? Like, what is he feeling? Like, he's got to be feeling the same way as me, but I don't think he is. Like, I'm not seeing a reaction.
I was objectively...
Oh, it's so weird.
But I was just like, oh, this just feels so cheesy. Why is he dodging every single bullet? Like, it's literally... I'm like, I know he's the best. But it's the motorcycle scene. That's when I was like...
The motorcycle scene was awesome!
So, but here was the thing was... Because this is how my brain works. So, yeah, when you were behind the walls and millimeters were between you getting hit or not, and you're now...
And now you're not getting shot.
Like this.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah.
He still has a gun?
Always hated that in movies, and he's choosing to punch you instead. Yeah, no, I know. I get it. I
can't overcome that. And because there were moments where they did that really well, where it was like, oh, and I was like, oh, he almost got him.
The scene where he throws the grenade and it bounces
that was great,
and he shoots it and it bounces back. That was so cool.
Those couple moments, I'm like, yeah, those are really cool. Yeah, and he slaps the grenade and it was all really seamless, and like there was a lot of that was really good.
A lot of long takes too. That looked awesome. Like,
yeah, the end of the motorcycle scene when he was just like. Yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, and then it like awkwardly sped up.
It felt like a video game boss.
Yeah, it very much. A lot of the movie felt like a video game.
Yeah,
that was very much catered to getting you to do specific actions in specific moments.
Like that scene with the dirt bike. It would be a scene where you don't have control,
except
for when it's coming, and you have to push square really quickly.
It's a quick time event.
And you have to dodge, and
yeah. So, but like whatever. Like at the end of the day, but that's why I'm and once I realized, honestly, I didn't see, and you don't know initially, but the first setup of the villain, they go to the DIA.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, okay, here's another fake, and it's just like, I'm a bad guy. Like it just very much felt like that.
Oh, how about the idiot bald friend of his? That guy sucked.
Oh, he was real. Yeah, in the school. I'm in the school, man.
Yeah.
Like the way he talked just felt off too.
Yeah, he was not a real person.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, you don't just sell out your friend like that and be like, I'm sorry.
The guy at the beginning, he's like, get out of there. What are you talking about? Dead. I'm just like,
damn it.
Okay.
Poor Benedict Wong, man.
I know.
He didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
He's gotta portal himself back to Doctor Strange and live his best life.
I like him as an actor.
I do too.
And
I was so happy when I saw him because I wasn't expecting him. I didn't know he was in it.
I was too.
I was
and
like,
then,
yes.
can I have a cracker? It was just a very cheesy movie.
It was.
I really, really, really liked Life of Pi. And that's why I was like all on board for this.
Okay, so this is like his thing because
one more
of a CG tiger, like and the kid interacting with it, like.
And that's why I was like, oh, he's a good one to.
Yeah.
Because I really liked the visuals in that movie, and the visuals were great.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, other than a couple things.
And that was an Oscar-nominated movie.
Yeah, it was great. This will not be.
No.
Not even close.
No.
Like, and that, it doesn't have to be. Whatever.
No.
I've also seen such good movies recently.
Yeah.
That my standards are probably a little higher now too.
This will stand out at the end of the year for me, just as a movie experience, though.
Yeah. Oh, there's not going to be another one like that.
Right.
And I love Dolby with the seats and the sound and everything. Yeah, there was one where the sound hit behind us. That was really cool. I think it might have been the bike like exploding or something.
When there's water like sloshing all around us, it was very weird.
I love Dolby. Not a fan of the title. I thought it was gonna have a cooler meaning
than just the name of a company
and a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a man from the company.
It feels appropriate for what the movie was.
Now it does.
Yeah.
But Gemini Man, I was like, that sounds like an epic movie. This is Will Smith's comeback. Like,
right. He wasn't even the Gemini Man.
Expectations.
Right.
I thought this was going to be a good movie, and I'm like, it's a cheesy action movie.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad because it feels like that's all what Will Smith has done recently. Like we were talking about
Pursuit of Happiness.
I literally was like, I missed that when it was like,
just drama
and good. But though you can have good action, and there were great actions. The bike scenes. There were a couple where he was going really fast, and the zooming was awesome. Like the way they were doing that was really cool.
Yeah.
Was that on the motorcycle or was that somewhere else?
Probably on the motorcycle.
I think it was on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
No, and even when he was doing that initial chase scene, like through the alleyways, that was awesome.
And then he crashes into the car and then keeps going and comes back around and stops in front of you. You're like, how did they do this?
That was all perfect. That's why I was like, it was really just that end part that I was.
And I felt the same way, but I was still digging it.
Okay. I was giving it a break, but I was just like, it felt like that didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
But so I'm curious as to why, because it seems like all they do is slow down a little.
I honestly think that's the frame rate. And you can't slow it down because then when you see it in 24 frames per second, it would look weird.
Like that, and that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
They'll figure that out eventually, though,
sure.
to where it's totally smoothed across. But definitely makes you think, wow, we're not that far from complete CG characters. Jar Jar Binks was one of the first.
Yeah.
And it's now we can do full human people.
Good for Jar Jar, man.
Yeah, I know. I hate all the hate.
Go ahead and be history.
Yeah.
Legend.
We should call out the actual guy's name, but I can never remember his name.
That played him?
Because he got a lot of... his life has struggled after that.
Really?
Yeah.
That is terrible.
Yeah, it's a shame. He was really, really, really proud of his performance, basically, and then the utterly...
I knew this. I should have known. Ahmad Best?
Yes.
Ahmad Best.
No, I knew his name. That's why I just can
I've definitely heard it.
I can never remember it.
Yeah. You're the best, Ahmed Best.
Yes. Best. You're the best, Ahmed Best. Yeah.
Well, that has been Rebels React to Gemini Man in 120 frames per second, 2K 3D.
10/19. Debut night.
10/19? 10, the year 19. Yes, I was very confused.
Yeah.
October.
Because it came out
October
tonight,
2019. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yes, very cool. If you enjoyed this, we're going to do more reactions to movies. We're going to do the Joker tomorrow.
I'm very excited for that movie.
I am too. We have done Ad Astra, and there will be more in the future. We also have a podcast, if you want to check that out, where we talk about all sorts of stuff, video games and movies.
Probably talk about this again.
And more in depth, maybe after we've seen it in regular for a second time. So please subscribe if you're interested in all that stuff. Thank you for watching. My name is Jordan.
And my name is Ethan. Till next time.
Till next time.